The following story has been brought to you by StoriesToInspire.org.
This story was said over by the Chidushei Harim, and a story that's said over by the Chidushei Harim has validity. So therefore, I'm going to repeat it. Chidushei Harim says that there was a kehillah that came to the Baal Shem HaKadosh and told him that the Poritz got mad, and he came to the Yidden in the city. And he said that if they don't give him a certain amount of money, which was an astronomical amount of money by a certain date, he's taking away their kids and sending them to the church to make them into goyim. And he's going to chase them out of their houses, and he's going to make them terrible Torahs. And they came crying to the Baal Shem Tov that he should do something for them. They knew that the Baal Shem HaKadosh could do moivsim if he wants. Poyelo is something from us. So the Baal Shem davened, and the Baal Shem came back to them and he said, I'm sorry, but this is a gzeira in Shamayim for whatever reason, and I don't have a koyach to change this gzeira. I'm sorry. So they begged the Baal Shem Tov, what could we do? So the Baal Shem told them that I have an eitzah for you. Go to this in the city, and there's a Yid there by the name of Yosef Zorach. Go to him and ask him, and don't let go. Don't let him dray out of it. But make him promise you that he's going to be Mevatel Gzeira. That's your only chance. So they were thinking, who is this Yosef Zorach? I never heard of a Yid Yosef Zorach. Azag Godel, that's bigger than the Baal Shem. That Baal Shem can't turn over this Gzeira in Shamayim, and this Yosef Zorach does have a power to turn it over. Who is this? Well, maybe he's a Lamed Vav Tzaddik that nobody knows about. How could the Baal Shem tell us about it? Maybe the Baal Shem should have gone straight to him. They had a million questions. But one thing they knew, that if the Baal Shem HaKadosh is sending them to this city to talk to this Yosef Zorach, that's where their Yeshua lies. So they got together, and they got a group of people that were smart and shrewd, and they didn't know what they were going to have to deal with, tzaddikim, and they got together, and they went to the city. They traveled to the city, and they came in, and they were there they came there by Mincha Ma'ariv, and after davening, they go over to some of the people there, and they said, who is Rabbi Yosef Zorach? They said, Rabbi Yosef Zorach? Not in this city. No. We know there's a Rabbi Yosef Zorach in the city. I'm sorry, I'm living here 40 years, there's no Rabbi Yosef Zorach here. He says, maybe he's a Lamed Vav Tzaddik. Maybe he lives in the forest near here, maybe in the basement, in a cave somewhere. No. And then while they were schmoozing, they called over the Gabbai and they said, listen here, do you have anybody in your list, in the Gabbai book, named Yosef Zorach? And he says, yeah, sure. He says, who is that? He says, that's the Shikr. Yosef Zorach the Shikr. Yosef Zorach the Shikr? No, the Baal Shem Tov would have never sent us to go get a bracha and get Yosef Zorach the Shikr to change the Gzeira. He says, maybe there's another one. The Gabbai says, let me get my book. And he goes through all the names in the book, and there is no other one. It's one guy, Yosef Zorach the Shikr. There is nobody else in the city by the name of Yosef Zorach. And they said, what do you need him for? And they tell him over the whole story with the Baal Shem Tov, and the people started laughing. Yosef Zorach is Shikr from morning to night. He doesn't come to davening. He doesn't do anything. He just drinks and drinks. He embarrasses his family. We support the family. We bring them food, pashut, because they don't have what to eat. And the wife works a little bit, and from that money she buys wine for her husband, because schnapps, whatever it is, because otherwise who knows what he's going to do if they don't feed him his daily shots. So they got together, they said, we're going. We're here, we're going. They went to Rabbi Yosef Zorach's house, and they come there, and they knock on the door. The lady opens up the door. A tznuadika lady, a finer lady, and she says, how can I help you? And they say, listen here, we came here we have the shlichus, we have to speak to your husband. He says, my husband? You got the wrong guy. He doesn't speak to anybody. No, we have to speak to him. He says, it's impossible to speak to him. He says, what do you mean? He says, listen, I'm embarrassed, but I'll tell you, my husband is shikr from the second that he wakes up till he goes to sleep. He's shikr. You can't talk to him about anything. He's not sane. They say, listen here, when the shikr wears off, when his drunkenness wears off, you can't talk to him for a second? He says, yeah, you can talk to him for a second. He's busy getting the next bottle. If I don't have the next bottle waiting for him, who knows what's going to happen? You can't talk to him then. There's no talking then. Listen here. If you let us talk to him, we're going to give you 300 gold coins. That's going to make your life much easier. You're going to have food berevach for the whole year. Says, okay, fine. That's a deal. She lets him into the house, and he's shikr, and he's rolling, and he's vomiting, and they're waiting to talk to him. Nothing's happening. They wait a couple of hours, and soon they see that it's starting to wear off, and he's starting to get up, and he starts bothering his wife. He wants the next bottle. And they come in to say hello to him, and they say, listen here, we want to talk to you. He says, don't talk to me, I want a bottle. And they say, no, we really have to talk to you. I'm not interested in you, I'm interested in the bottle, I got to drink my schnapps, get out of here. And they say, listen here, if you deal with us properly and you give us what we want, we're going to give you a whole case of schnapps, the best schnapps in the world. He says, okay, now you're talking. Now you're talking my language. So they said, fine, give us a haftacha. We want a haftacha from you. What's the haftacha? What do you want? He says, we want a haftacha that you should say that the gezerah that our city, the name of the city, has, that the Poritz wants to banish us and take away our children, is batal or mavutal. That's all you have to say. Get out of here. I'm not a Rebbe. I don't give brachas. China, get out of here. And he's telling them to get out of there. And they say, listen here, we're not giving you your next bottle until you mavatal it, and then we're going to give you a case. So after a bunch of back and forths, finally was maskim. They tell him exactly what to say. So they told him the words, and he was mavatal the gzeira, and they kept their word. They gave him a case of the best schnapps in the world, and they gave the wife 300 gold coins, and they left. They came back to their city, and by the boundary of the city, the whole city was standing there to be makabel ponim, the delegation that went to get to this Yosef Zarach. And they tell him, you wouldn't believe it, but yesterday at 12:30 in the afternoon, the Poritz coughed blood and he died. And you take it, he died. They say 12:30 in the afternoon, do you realize that we got the bracha from Yosef Zarach? He was mavatal the gzeira at mamish 12:25, 12:28. I looked at my watch and that's what it was. It was unbelievable. In mamish, the same time that he gave the bittul of the gzeira, it happened. So they went back to the Baal Shem HaKadosh to thank him for the Eitzah. And the Baal Shem HaKadosh told them, I want to explain what's going on over here. I want to tell you a story in a story. This Yid, Yosef Zarach, was not a Talmud Chacham. He was a very simple guy, an honest guy, and he had a tremendous taiva for money, and he was always looking for make a buck, and he became very wealthy. He did well, and he started doing business deals, and he would run from anywhere to get a good business deal. One day, he heard that in a certain town, you can get a gewaldige business deal for 400 coins. He can get a mamash, a steal of a deal. And he went and he took his horse and buggy and he started going. On the way, there was a detour. The main road is closed. You can't go. They're telling everybody you got to go 25 miles down the different road to go around the whole city. The road's closed. And they came there and he comes there and he wants to go through. And they say, you can't. They say, what's going on here? He says, oh, we're having a parade and a pogrom, and you got to see what's going on, but the main street's closed. So he got off his horse and buggy. He parked it on the side of the road, and he walked into the city. And he sees how they lined up all the Yidden in the town. And there was one guy that was in the middle of the street, and he had to walk down the street. They were beating him up, and his wife and kids were there crying. And he asked them, what's going on here? Why are you beating this guy? And they said, why? He's already 3 years. He owns the inn in the town. And he didn't pay rent. And he's selling whiskey to all the guys, all the goyim in the whole town. And he takes the money for himself, and he doesn't want to give it to the landlord. He's not paying his rent. And we're going to beat him up until he dies, or we throw him in a jail or in a hole someplace, and then we're going to throw his wife and kids to the wolves. And until someone pays it. So what happened was, Dr. Baal Shem Tov, Nichmeru Rachamov, and he asked them, how much is the bill? And they told him that it's 400 coins. So he felt that, listen here, really he took the money to invest to become even richer, but because he was it was 400 and 400, and he couldn't take another Yid getting beaten, he decided that he's going to be poide this umlal, this nebuchtik Yid out of his shvuyim, out of his capture, and he's going to save the Yid and the whole family. Now I want to tell you that when this thing happens, Dr. Baal Shem, there was a tremendous rash in the Olam HaElyon. Ein lecha mitzvah gedoyla kepidyon shvuyim. As it steht in Rambam Hilchis Matnas Aniyim Perek Ches Halacha Yud, shehashavui, a guy who was captured, hareu bechlal hareivim v'hatzmeim v'ha'arumim v'oimed b'sakonis nefashis v'hamalim einov mipidyoino. If you look away and you don't give money to be paid to him, harei za'oiver al loisames es lavavcha loisikpetz es yodcha loisamed al damreyecha loyir befarach leinecha. And you mevatel the mitzvahs asayis of Pasayach Tiftach and v'chayach yichi imach v'haftel yach kamecha v'hotzel kachtem lokham lamoves and many other things. Ve'en lecha mitzvah rabba kepidyon shvuyim. And besides this, returning a Yid back to his parnosa is the biggest tzedakah a person could do, Dr. Rambam. Ve'en l'mayla heimena. Azoy steht in Rambam, helping another Yid getting back on his feet in business. There is no bigger mitzvah tzedakah. It's very good for us to hear this now before Purim. We have to help our brethren. Hashem gave us more money than we need. Not that we should be fressing in restaurants every night or other enjoyments. He gave it to us to help the people that have less than us, that need the money. And that's really one of the big messages of Purim. Zok Baal Shem Tov, the higher a person is, the more is expected of him in Shamayim. The lower a person is, the less is expected of him in Shamayim. And Memelo in Shamayim, this Yid, who was a plain Pashut Yid, they were so nespoil from his mitzvah that he did, that they had to do something unbelievable.
Enjoyed this story? Come again. Bring a friend. StoriesToInspire.org